Hello there, and welcome to the InnerMedia podcast. I'm Josh Karam, and with me, as always, is Grandmaster Ted Karam.
Hey, guys.
And today, if you couldn't tell by what I was wearing or the hello there, Obi-Wan, yes, we are indeed talking about Star Wars, which I was waiting for, like, what is the moment that we do it? And it was the announcement of all those Disney Star Wars shows coming out the Obi-Wan show and all of that, just pumping us up with a good Star Wars energy. So, we're going to do a lot of InnerMedia Star Wars episodes. This is not the only one. This is going to be a series, a Skywalker saga, if you will, but even going beyond the Skywalker saga.
A lot of truths in these films. A lot of truths.
It's, the Force, right?
The Force,
how can we not?
Force.
So we're going to start. This one is mostly going to be on the prequels, but mostly we're talking Qui-Gon Jinn and just that the prequel 3 trilogy, the Phantom Menace mostly, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, that era right there.
Yeah.
Who knows if we'll get to everything, but we're gonna try talking. But it's mostly gonna be personally my favorite Jedi, Master Qui-Gon Jinn. What he says every time I rewatch the movie hits me harder. Each time. I remember I was in Alaska and I was watching Phantom Menace and I was texting you immediately. It was like, I don't remember him saying this. This is really good to hear right now.
Yeah,
so we're talking, stuff. So spoiler alert first. This is, Star Wars spoilers in general is going to be the prequel trilogy. That's what we're talking about mostly. If there's anything else that we tend to slip into, because these movies, a lot of them do a good job connecting to each other, I'll mention that in the comments so you know exactly which movies that we're talking about. If anything arises. We don't know.
Yep. It may.
Exactly. So, we usually do a Master, Wizard, and Jedi quote, and this time is finally a Jedi quote. We did it. We finally got to the name of this segment. So, here we go. Obi-Wan says, "But Master Yoda says I should be mindful of the future." And Qui-Gon Jinn then responds with, "But not at the expense of the moment." Let's break it down. Hit us up with that Qui-Gon Jinn wisdom
so
right
good.
there.
Again, there's profound wisdom throughout these shows. It's just amazing. And I've been watching them, as you know, since I was 11. So the Force has been just an amazing journey of self-discovery. So, again, be mindful of the future, be mindful of our surroundings, but live in the present moment. So it's so important because we forget this. This is... it's so easy today in life to just forget. We're just drawn out into the outer world. And but it's when, and only when, we're in this moment that the Force flows freely through us, that we're actually connected with the whole of life.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this before. When we're present, when we're here, when we're now, something happens, and that is we unify with the whole of life. The whole of life then begins to flow through us. The Force is that inner light that emerges. The Force is that when we talked about
Cosmic energy, Aang?
Cosmic energy and Aang, yes. The Guru.
It's all very similar.
When we talked about the Guru last time, right? Or a couple times ago, right? The prana, the life force, the energy. That's life itself. The Force is life itself. It's the life force. And when it's flowing, we're lit up, we're alive, we're empowered, well-being flows, insights flow, wisdom comes. And so that's why Qui-Gon Jinn is saying to Obi-Wan here, fine, be aware of the future and the past and your thoughts about them, but live here and now in this present moment, because that's where the magic of life is. And when you're not here and now in the present moment, you separate yourself from that flow. You cut yourself off from the life force.
100%. And it goes into more of just Qui-Gon Jinn's teaching with, remember, concentrate on the moment, feel, don't think, trust your instincts. So... Jedi are considered, they're very smart, of course, no doubt about it, but they're also very wise. And I think it's interesting that it's not all of this, I must think ahead. It's like, don't think, feel.
Right.
So, you're taking the Force. There's a level of, wisdom, feeling, emotional, and intelligence there.
Yes, a blending.
Exactly, but as a Jedi... they're taught not to let their emotions cloud their judgment. So, when it says feel, don't think, how much... I feel as though I'm, slipping into the dark side when I try to say this. how far is it before your emotions cloud your judgment when you're told to feel and not think?
It's a good question. And the bottom line is, again, this is all about energy dynamics. The force, the flow of the light within us, the energy within us, our very life force. And so here's the thing. Too often we're in here. We're just cerebral. We're just thinking about it, analyze. We're in the beta brainwave state. Rational, logical, analytical thinking mind, where we filtered out most of reality, and we're only perceiving through the world of the phenomenal world of forms, which is just a small picture of the larger whole of reality. So don't overthink it would be a better thing. Don't overthink. Feel. What does feel mean? Feel means be in touch with your emotions. What are your emotions? The energy you are setting in motion. The energy that's flowing through you now. So you want to be grounded in here. You want to be in tune with the vibrational energy of your being, and not just up here. And just so what does that do? It allows you. We bring this up a lot, but it allows you, remember the surface level of the ocean? When we're just looking at the surface level of the ocean, our consciousness only sees the waves on top of the ocean, that wave separate, that way. We miss the interconnectedness of all things, the ocean itself. The ocean is the force. It is the energy, the one energy, the ocean of one, the energy of one. So what happens is when we're just lost in our analytical, rational thinking mind, we miss the interconnectedness of all things. We cut ourselves off from that life force, from the flow of that energy that sustains us and empowers us and inspires us. So what we want to do is we want to, yes, we think, we use our conscious, rational mind to make decisions, to weigh the contrast in life, to bring a sense of logic to things, but too often we're there and we just miss it. So what we have to do is we have to blend that. So that's just intelligence. That's just brain. That's just our conscious brain. To get wisdom, you mentioned this, Josh. To get wisdom, that intelligence has to be blended with our heart, with feelings, with emotion. So what we want to do is we say this all the time, right? We hear this all the time. We just overthink things, right? You know yourself when you're overthinking things, right? When you're sitting there and you're just thinking about a thing. Remember we watched that show, what's that show on TV, the sports? They're trying to go through that obstacle course. Sylvester Stallone.
Wow, Ultimate Beastmaster. There it is.
The Ultimate Beastmaster, right? The Ultimate Beastmaster. So you can see when they're just thinking. They're and they're frozen. They won't jump to the next part of the obstacle course. So that usually drains our energy. It usually causes us to not be at our best, right? So we want to sink down into the depths of our being and feel and allow our feelings to guide us. Allow your heart, lead with the heart. Allow your heart. See, the heart already knows what our minds will never figure out. So the heart already knows. So that intelligence, that's why he says don't think in the Matrix. Remember Morpheus? Don't think you are, know you are. You feel it, you are it, you're being it. And so that's the wisdom that Qui-Gon Jinn is sharing here. Feel with your body, feel with emotions, because that connects you with the life force, the living force that's in and around all things.
Qui-Gon Jinn also always struck me, compared to the other Jedi, he was one that seemed more emotionally attuned to around him. A lot of them seemed very closed off to that, but he was very open as a Jedi. And it's important that you also said the living force, too.
The living force.
I think people forget a lot of times that the force isn't just, I'm able to force push, or I'm able to lift things up. The force is life.
It's life. It's your life. It's, to break it down, the force is life. It's life energy. It's your light. It's divine. It's a higher power. It's that which binds and interpenetrates everything. I think Yoda says that one, right? Master Yoda, something is the force that binds us all together and interpenetrates all things. What does that? Divinity, omnipresence, everywhere simultaneously in its fullness. But we're not where it's at a lot of times. We're not tuned into it, so we feel separate. We feel vulnerable. We feel frail and weak and afraid and trapped and stuck. And this wisdom here Trust your feelings. Tune into your heart. Be there. Get in touch with your emotions, the energy that's coming through you, through your emotions. And that's when you begin to unify again. We begin to unify again with all of life, with the Force.
Yeah, and finding him was the will of the Force. I have no doubt about it. What he says about Anakin when he finds this, when they're stuck on Tatooine after the Star Cruiser breaks down, and Tatooine's this rusty planet outside of the jurisdiction of the Republic. What could possibly
be there?
But they find the chosen one, so to say, the Force, and it's interesting too, because not only is it talking about how the will of the Force, this is it, finding him, but also Qui-Gon Jinn tells Obi-Wan that when they're trying to get off now, he's like, the solution will present itself.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Like he
trusts.
There is a true Jedi Master, and this is what I love to see when I watch the Star Wars movies. They're never worried. And it's actually present. The same with like a Sith Master, right? Even though
they're present as well. They're calm.
Yeah.
They're here. They're now. Yeah.
Which always gets me. So
Yeah. So I mean, this is really powerful. So the first thing you said, Josh, he knew.
Yes.
Just like Morpheus knew Neo was the one.
Yeah.
We just know sometimes. And that knowledge isn't coming from history or past knowledge. It's unprecedented knowledge. It's unprecedented insight and wisdom. We glean the universal interconnectedness of things, and that whole moves through us and inspires our mind. And so he knew. He knew. And, and he didn't have any doubt. He knew that he knew. And a lot of times you feel the same way, don't you, about certain things. You just know that it's a gut feeling. It's your sixth sense. And, there's who said this all the time? Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. There are no coincidences, right?
Yeah.
He'd say that over and over again, right? So, and we've talked about this before. Coincidences. Is this just happening to me? Was I at the right place at the right time? Was I at the wrong place at the wrong time? Bad luck, good fortune. What is that all about? We think that it's all about rational, analytical, and placing ourselves at the right place at the right time where those curves of persistence and opportunity meet. We have some good luck right there. But the deeper truth is, when we look at it from the perspective of unity, we look at it from the perspective of oneness, of energy, it's about being the right vibration. When we're in the right vibration, and as we sow, so shall we reap. The waves we send out, the broadcast we're constantly sending out in our heart and mind is coming back to us in the mirror of life, is coming back to us, reflected back to us. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, if we're more scientific. But basically, the energy we send out is what we meet. So when we become the right vibration, when we hold the right thoughts in our mind and the right feelings, the emotions in our heart, and we are being that change, we're a vibrational match to what our heart truly desires. We're a vibrational match to the fulfillment of our dreams. Then what happens is that's the energy we're sending out. That's what comes back to us. That's what we meet every moment of every day. That's what we're seeing. So we don't have to struggle to get to the right place and manipulate the outer world. We'll try and manipulate the reflection in the mirror to be in the right place at the right time. We be the right vibration, and we draw to us, back to us, the reflection of the right people, circumstances, and situations that are a vibrational match with who we're being, what we are.
And we know that Qui-Gon Jinn, going into Revenge of the Sith just for a second, is very attuned to his identity and is attuned to the Force around him, because as Yoda tells Obi-Wan in the end, is like, spoke to Qui-Gon, I have. Because Qui-Gon was the first Jedi to keep his identity after dying. It's not like he went into the living Force. He was like, Yoda, I figured it out. And that's why I'm not going to talk much about the original trilogy, but that's how certain Jedi then learn to take their essence after life and pass it on.
It's beautiful seeing the light body. Right? When Obi-Wan, a long time ago, right? He becomes a light body. So this is all about, we are a light body now. It's just we no longer focus. We no longer focus so intently. We're no longer asleep as that fallen angel asleep in the dream of being an individual. We've awakened from the dream of individuality. We no longer believe ourselves to just be that little wave on the ocean. No. You're so much more than the little wave on the ocean. In fact, the little wave on the ocean owes its entire existence to the ocean itself. You're one with all of life. So that is a powerful realization. It's a great way to, I used to share that with you when you kids were younger, about the continuality, the eternity of life. Life isn't something that we have that we can keep or lose. Life is what we are. And birth and death, two polarities that happen in the continuum of life, not to life. And so we see Master Yoda or Obi-Wan or whoever, right, in light body form, showing us that life is forever. Life is eternal.
Definitely, and that'll carry on into the original trilogy when we get there. But
talk about the others.
Qui-Gon Jinn, his last thing to Obi-Wan before he was killed, he said, "Anakin is the chosen one. I know it." Now, the Jedi Council was skeptical of Anakin. They believed he had too much attachment to his mother, and that would he'd fall down the path of darkness. And even though his midichlorian count was higher than Master Yoda's himself, they didn't. It was too dangerous. And the thing that I'm curious about is, there's always this conversation with he's too old, or like Jedi have to be young when they're trained.
Padawans.
But we talked about it over the holidays with Scrooge, and the idea that you're never too old to change your ways. So when you have someone older trying to accept something that is so like, because even in the Star Wars universe, you have people who are like, the Force, isn't that just a bunch of mumbo jumbo?
Yeah.
Like, how do you, as someone who is older than that young childlike state that they get for the Padawan learners, or the Jedi younglings, I should say, how does one get into that state then?
No, it's the saying, the old saying is, not the old saying, but from Jesus, bring me to the children, for in them are the kingdom of heaven, the presence. You must become like a child before you can enter the kingdom of good. What does that mean? You must become like a child. Not, you don't have to act childish, but childlike. Become like a child. What does that mean? If we look at it from a scientific perspective, we're talking about entering the present moment. We're talking about changing our brainwaves. Children live in alpha and theta brainwaves, not in beta. They live in their imagination. They're still connected with and one with the whole. They still perceive things in the world of energy that these filters of sight and sound and touch haven't filtered out yet. So becoming like a child allows us, entering the present moment, being, even though we need to be mindful of the future, the past, being mindful of response, living in this moment here and now allows us to tune into the whole of life. So that's when all good finds us. That's when the solution arises all on its own. When Qui-Gon Jinn says we just be patient and wait for the solution to present itself. There's faith there, though. You just can't be worried about it and expect it to come. It's not going to come. It's going to match your vibration. So we want to come from that place of being it, connected, unified with the Force here and now, so that wisdom can come to you, that insight can reveal itself to you. But it's only when we become like a child do we learn new things.
Yeah, let go, unlearn what you have learned.
Right. So, but as we said, as you were saying, Josh, it's never too late to change. Right, like with Ebenezer Scrooge, in A Christmas Carol and stuff we just talked about. So it's a matter of, again, being the change.
Yes.
We can't point out there and say, you change, that change, everything out there in the mirror changes, then I'll be happy, then I can be okay, then life will be good. Let me be the change. By doing what? By aligning myself with the life force itself. By unifying with life. How do I do that? I live in the present moment. I have a beginner's mind now. I have a new mind. I have the mind of a child where I'm open. I don't know anymore. See, when you get old like me, you think you know. I've been there, done that. I know how life is. How do you know how life is? Because of your experience. That's it. So that little bit of experience that you've had in life, that we draw our conclusions and we say, we know how life is. but we don't. We don't know what life is. We only have, we know what was, we know what our experience was, but there's so many infinite possibilities that could have unfold at any time. And when we enter that beginner's mind, when we become like a child again, when we open ourselves to the magic of life, and that's when we open ourselves to the wholeness, the energy that can begin to flow through us, that force itself.
Opening up, yes.
Opening up.
So going back to Anakin then, and I just want to tie this into this, I think the best Qui-Gon Jinn quote we got here at the bottom, which is, remember, your focus determines your reality. Which is just that's the thing that I texted you about when I watched the episode. I forgot that you said this. This is great. Anakin, throughout the prequels, is constantly focused on the fear of loss. Like, losing his mother, losing Padme, all of this pain and suffering that he believes that he can change.
Yep.
But he's harping on something that he's going to lose. Now, a question that came up with me when I was first watching these movies was the idea of, like, why is that bad that he's worried his mother's going to die? Wasn't he right to pursue that? And I know at a surface level that seems kind of like, well, of course, but there's more to that, I find.
Yeah.
It's a trail. It's a path.
Yeah. No,
it's
absolutely.
A path, yeah.
And fear is the dark side, right? The worry, anxiety, fear, anger. Fear just outwardly turns into anger and aggression and, attacking. This is powerful. It is the path to the dark side. What is the dark side? The dark side is separation from life, separation from the light. And living in darkness is where we live in fear, we live in pain, we live in suffering. And we all have a balance of that within ourselves all the time.
Palpatine or Darth Sidious, as he is revealed to be, was playing off of that fear. Yes, he sensed that amount of passion within Anakin.
Right. And that was very real in him. So the more we think like, well, I'll just take those people out and we'll end that situation over there and then we'll snuff out the evil in the world. We'll get rid of the darkness, as if that was possible.
Yes.
It's not possible. What we end up doing is feeding it. We end up becoming that vibration ourselves. And so Palpatine did play off Anakin's fears of that. And as a result, Anakin began strengthening that fear in himself. The opposite would be to unify with life. We talked about this in the Guru, right?
Yeah.
To realize your unity with all life and all you love. To realize you can't be separate from the ones you love. Now that takes not an intellectual process, it takes a direct experience of having that. And so now, unify with all life, a couple of things happen. One, you no longer fear losing what you love because you're one with it forever. You know that. You feel that. It's not just a concept. It's not just an idea. It's not just a hope. And it also causes you to no longer attack or fear that which appears to be your enemy, right? Jesus said, love thy enemy. What did he really mean? He didn't mean to love the people you hate. It means to unify with the I am, my presence within you here and now. The light, the force. Unify with all of life, and then there's nothing separate from you. When you're unified with all of life, there's nothing separate from you to fear. Because you've gone from the water drop to the entire ocean. You're one with all of life. And so that's so powerful in this movie. Josh, it plays a lot with the dark side and the light side.
Yes.
Right, as you said, going down the dark path or the light path. That exists in the world of polarities. So we have to realize that there's this world of polarities, the world of phenomena. Nothing shows up in this world, anything that's a thing, any wave upon the surface of the ocean. It only appears in this slice of reality, in this phenomenal world, when it takes form. So the energy, the infinite energy of being polarizes. What happens when it polarizes? It takes form. You have yin and yang. You have positive and negative. We talked about it many times before in terms of the water drop and the still pond. right? So you bring those two forces together, the water drop and the still pond, and what happens? It gives birth to the ripples that unfold. The ripples that unfold, that is form. That is the phenomenal world. That's matter. That's what we translate through our senses as matter. So in order to take existence, in order to come into existence in this world, the energy of being, the force, needs to split. It needs to polarize into this dance of yin and yang, into this dance of opposing energies. And we call it up and down. We call it in and out, left and right. You can't have one without the other in this world. As a matter of fact, if you take a bar magnet, right, in this world, and there's a north pole on the top and a south pole on the bottom, if we broke the magnet in half, we think we could separate the north pole from the south pole. But we can't. What happens is this piece with the north pole grows a new south pole, and the piece of the magnet with the south grows a new north. In other words, it can't exist in this world unless it's polarity. So what we try to do is we try and, when we're only perceiving life from the perspective of separation, when the veil of separation is here and we are perceiving through the filter, only the filter of our five senses, then what we try to do is we try and push away the negative and we try and pull towards us the positive. Push away the dark side, the bad, and pull towards us the light, the good. That's just when we're dealing with the world of form and we don't know our larger self. So when we're separate from source, when we don't know thyself, when we're just in our thinking mind and we're thinking about the future and worrying about the past, and we're not in this moment, when we're not present, as Qui-Gon Jinn says, when we're not present, then we're not unified with life. When we're in union with all of life, when we're one here and now, we realize, we see with real eyes, with different vibration, we realize that all is good. Why? Because all is one. All is divine. All is the one life, the one love, the one presence. Now, we transcend the apparent illusion of separation, lack, and limitation, and we be a vessel, a channel, to reveal that good that we've discovered in this moment. So we are being the change. And now we're no longer worried about fighting the dark side. We're going to go fight the dark side and be on the light. No. The light, the true light of the force is beyond polarities. You don't see it with your eyes. It's a light, but it's a divine light. It's a spiritual light. It unifies all of being. And it's not the light we see here in the world of form. It's a light that goes beyond. And so that's going beyond the Jedi. That's getting to that place where we
definitely the
someday,
balance in the Force is what we're looking for.
Right.
And you see it even before the prequels start, the Jedi believe, they're like, oh, we destroyed all the Sith.
Right.
The Sith are gone. And then even at the end of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith are like, oh, we defeated the Jedi.
Right.
The Jedi are all gone.
Right.
But as we see constantly in every iteration of Star Wars, that's not the answer.
That's not the answer.
Because they always come back.
That's not the answer. That's when we're stuck and trapped, only perceiving from a perspective of separation. We don't know the truth. We don't know thyself. We're not one. We're not unified with all the being. And so we miss the unity of all that is. So they do that, thinking you can snuff it out, get rid of it. What's that? That's a mirror.
Yes.
You become it. You become it. You become that energy. And as a result, so this is what it all. So bringing the forces into harmony within us. We talked about this, yin and yang, right? Into harmony within us. Kung Fu Panda, yin and yang, and the inner peace, right? So now, when these two creative forces are balanced, when they're in harmony within you, now that's when the portal opens and the inner light shines through. The inner light is the force, is the unity of being, is the perfection of life, is the wholeness, the well-being. That's when your body, that's when you become whole, that's when you light up, that's when healing happens. And it looks like it's healing happening to our bodies, because all of a sudden our life force is awakened, but it's really the wholeness that was always there returns. It looks like love and joy and prosperity abounds. It comes to us, but it was always there. But it looks like it, but now that's the energy that we're exuding. That's the energy we're vibrating. That's what we're broadcasting. And now that's what comes back to us in the mirror of life.
Is it correct then to assume that a balance of this, because the Jedi are known as selfless and the Sith act only selfishly. That's why, Darth Vader fell because he was in love with somebody. Dooku is like absorbed with wealth and stuff like that, and that's why it's too material. Is then this balance okay to be a balance between selflessness and selfishness? Is that an okay thing?
That's
to
a great,
balance
you know what?
life?
That's a great way of saying it. Because there is a part where there is a selfishness, right? In other words, you need to take care of self. You need to change. You need to be the change. In other words, we can't give love if we're not loving to ourselves. We can't give joy. We can't offer the world. We can't offer those we love in this world something we're not. So we need to be selfish enough to first receive, tune into that and receive that ourselves. It all comes from the divine. So what you want to do is you want to allow yourself to be worthy to receive. Now that's hard sometimes, right? Because we don't feel worthy. We don't feel okay. We've talked about this before. So yes, you are lovable. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are amazing because you're a being of light, because you're a divine child of the divine. So we want to receive so that we can be the reflector, the mirror, and give. And so yes, we have to take time, sacred timeouts. We have to, commune with Source. We have to make those sacred timeouts where we don't miss that in life. Even if life gets very busy and we're trying to take care of everyone and everything, the caretakers get burned out really quickly unless you take care of yourself. So you need to take that time. So there is that part that appears to be selfish.
Yes.
And then you can give in a selfless way. Because once you're connected with the whole of life, when you take the time and you do your meditations, you do your exercise, you do whatever it is you do that helps you tune in. Maybe it's giving, maybe it's going out for a walk in nature, whatever it is. That time where you replenish yourself, where you plug in again, you refill yourself with. You make your at one-ment. You become at one again with the whole. You fill yourself with the Force, with life itself. Now you've renewed yourself. Now you have energy to give. And when you don't do that, you don't. You may think you're giving, and sometimes you are, but that energy. Remember, what we send out is our vibration, is our energy. So we have to be it first. Carl Jung, the psychiatrist, he said, those who look without and just deal with the without dream. Those who look within awaken. And so this is a call. These truths that are here in the Star Wars films, they're a call to turn within and awaken. And there's a balance. Like you mentioned, Josh. Some people are just pursuing power or wealth or the outer things of life. Is there anything wrong with pursuing the outer things of life? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, that's why we're here, to dance with all of life. So that's all beautiful. It's all wonderful. We want you to have everything that you want in life, everything you desire, everything that brings you happiness and health and joy and fulfillment. But when we pursue those at the expense of finding our true selves, in other words, when we pursue those to try and find an identity, once I have enough money, or then I'll feel secure, or I'll feel worthy, or I'll feel validated.
Or once Padme's safe, or once I have my mother.
There you go. Yeah. Once I protect this person, or save that person, or fix that, or change this, or whatever, then, see, what we put it off into the future, then I will.
Yeah.
Now that's just another dream. That's just another projection.
Like Anakin's dreams, if you will. Once his mother died, he thought it was the end, but the dreams just kept coming. There was no...
Right, so it's here and now where we transcend our individual sense of self. It's here and now where we die unto who we think we are, and we are reborn into a larger truth, into a bigger perspective, a a more holistic being of what we truly are.
Yeah. And I am very excited personally. I don't want to span too off of the prequels here, because I think actually too far off of Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin. But throughout Star Wars, there's been teases of this balance in the Force. You had in the Clone Wars series, Ahsoka Tano leaving the Jedi Order to try to find this more balance. Kyle Katarn, far off canon, one of Luke's apprentices in a different canon, says, the Force is not inherently good or evil. It is how you choose to channel the Force that determines that. So
excellent.
They're finding it. It's going to happen. I know they're going to dive more into this.
And when the time's right, at some point, perhaps we'll see Beyond the Jedi.
Yeah.
Something that takes us beyond the polarities of good and evil and dark and light, and always pitting one against the other, realizing those are the two halves that make the whole of everyone. There's darkness and there's light in all of us.
We got a lot of Star Wars content to look forward to, so I think we're going to get it. And we're going to be talking about other things that happened in the original trilogy and the shows and all of that, so there's going to be so much more Star Wars talking here. But Ted, thank you so much again, Grandmaster of the Force, for sitting down and talking with us. And we wanted to let you know that this is indeed the podcast that you are looking for. This is the InnerMedia podcast. You can watch it here on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also comment, because not only do we talk about Star Wars, you heard here, we were talking about Kung Fu Panda and Avatar The Last Airbender and everything. So comment with things that you want to hear us talk about, or just more Star Wars stuff you want to hear us talk about, because it's big.
Oh, God.
It's a big universe.
It goes on and on, And it's just, remember, just as Qui-Gon Jinn said, thinking is good, think about this and that. We're always so rational these days, looking at the internet, trying to figure out our future. But your heart already knows what your mind will never figure out. So come back to feeling. Come back to being here now and trusting yourself. Trust yourself, your inner heart, and let it lead the way.
Feel, don't think.
Feel, don't think.
Perfect. And if you want to learn more about the real you in general, the best place to go is therealyou.net. There you can check out meditations, subscribe to the newsletter, and also see other content that we do, such as something called TED Talks and the True Podcast, which is on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. And the only way to end this off is may the Force be with you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.